Hello everyone, this is Quadrant giving you game 2 in a series between Goody and ToD, this time on Delta Quadrant. Goody spawning as the purple Terran player on the bottom right hand side of the map of the Delta Quadrant, what I'll call the 4.5 position. Meanwhile, we have ToD spawning as the blue Protoss player here at the 7 o'clock position, and this is Delta Quadrant. Delta Quadrant, normally one of those maps where people say it does favor Terran just because of the openness of the map, the exposure to these mineral patches. Banshee's able to come along this backside here, deal some damage, and then back off pretty easily, out of range of any stalkers. So we'll see how Goody fares on this map. Goody, I've watched a couple of his games already. He likes to open up with very, very early aggression, and I believe that's French, but yeah, I believe that's French. And I do not know what that means at all. Anyways, Goody opening up with a supply depot. We'll be able to get a barracks here, followed up with another supply depot, and we'll see if he opens up with the same Marine Marauder harassment as I've seen him go in previous games. Production tab is now up for you guys. I know some of you guys do specifically request and ask for that. Gateway now being placed down, and now out moves one probe. So the probe already scouting. It looks like the probe should be scouting in what I expect to be, yeah, the counterclockwise direction, as that is the normal way to scout. It allows for the Protoss player to warp in a pylon here and then warp units in across this gap, dealing a lot of damage. The Marines are not yet ready, as we are still very early into this game. SCV now dealing damage or taking some damage. One SCV now coming back over and trying to support his friend there. Both sides battling it out. ToD most likely will be able to pull away with that one probe before it deals any, or before it takes any critical damage whatsoever. Goody now training up one Marine. Will be able to get also get a supply depot here in just a moment. Oh, there's that supply depot coming in from the backside. It looks like it feels like I've cast this game before, as this is Goody's standard strategy in Protoss versus Terran, or Terran versus Protoss. Getting that tech lab, gonna get a Marauder, going to get that concussive shell, and then move out with 2 SCVs, 2 Marauders, and a Marine, and then trying to put some early pressure, making it very difficult for Protoss players to try to fight back. ToD being very smart, already opening up with an early Zealot. The early Zealot is there just to be able to absorb some damage from that Marauder and put some pressure back. If the Zealot is not down, the Marauder is able to just focus down on Stalkers instead, and the Stalkers deal or take 100% more damage, 20 damage per attack, from a Marauder than from a Zealot. The problem is going to be whether or not that Stalker and that Zealot are going to be there in time. There we go, one Marine, one Marauder, SCV here as well, and they will be charging up that ramp. Oh, ToD trying to clear his backdoor rocks. Stalker also coming over as well, and this is going to be a little bit of an issue as a second Stalker now being trained. We also see a gateway coming in as well, so a second gateway, a probe now moving out. Quickly going to get shot down by that Marauder there, and this is going to be a problem. The Zealots and the Stalkers need to come back home, try to return back. We do see one pylon currently powering this gateway over here, and very important that Goody is trying to take down this pylon first. There is another pylon over here, and nice overlapping here as probes now coming back in. Stalkers, more Stalkers trying to engage as well. One Stalker now trying to pull back. Both sides dealing a lot of damage. The probes need to re-engage. This is going to be a problem. One Marauder going to get taken down. Another Marauder going to get taken down as well. And it looks like that, yeah, that Marauder is going to get taken down. That one Stalker able to pull away at 3 hit points. And oh, I believe that SCV's days are going to be numbered. No, another Marauder bringing in the rear, trying to reinforce, but it's going to be 2 Stalkers and a Zealot versus a Marauder, and that Marauder realizes when he is outnumbered, and this very early rush not effective at all. Goody now needs to bunker up a little bit in order to be able to defend. One of the problems, one of the reasons why Goody absolutely needs a bunker here is because a Stalker can sit on this ramp right here and start dealing damage towards these buildings. And because the layout of the buildings, the Marauders have a difficult time trying to hit that Stalker, even though there is a high ground ramp there. We now see the Zealots and Stalkers and Sentries also coming in to try to destroy the rocks. Perhaps this one Sentry should be hanging around by the front door instead, enabling himself to be able to drop in some force fields. We see a tech lab and now a starport being built, and what I'm going to assume is going to be a Banshee tech, as more Marines are now being trained. So trying to mass up more Marines, trying to get some Banshee tech. And Banshees are going to be pretty effective. Now training up Siege Tanks. Oh, so, excuse me, I was wrong. Siege Tanks not going to be Banshees. Siege Tanks with Siege Tech, also very, very powerful as well. We may get some Medevacs as well, as the Medevacs will be a nice addition to the Marine and the Marauders. Robotics facility already being warped in. We'll be able to get some observers, and then it will no longer be playing in the dark. One command center being built on the low ground, and I'm surprised by this. Normally, Terran players, or players in general, do not want to try to expand into this location if your opponent has spawned clockwise from you. What's going to end up happening is that Colossi will be able to stand on this ridge over here and then shoot back and deal damage. I think that's one of the reasons why we are already training up some Vikings. Vikings very important in order to counter that army back. Siege Tank with Siege Tech nearing completion. And now Goody's front door is pretty well protected, but ToD already has his expansion up as he was clearing those rocks for quite some time. Probes now being transferred over, 13 probes, Stalkers, Zealots, and Sentries on that front door, and ToD playing very, very cold and calculating right now, doesn't want to move out. And I think that's one of the issues where a lot of StarCraft 2 players in general constantly feel like you need to attack, you need to be aggressive, you always need to be attacking, and I don't think that's always the case. It is sometimes better just sit back and macro up as long as you have proper scouting, and that's one of the benefits of Protoss. Protoss with observers are able to have essentially a permanent scout as long as the Terran player doesn't invest into a Raven or you keep track and make sure that there are no missile turrets. And now a third expansion being set up. So ToD's trying to set up a third expansion, and SCV will quickly come into over here and see these Stalkers, and they're quickly trying to take down that one SCV. SCV already down to 15 hit points. One more shot in the back and it will get taken down. One Stalker already up on the high ground, and also getting a Colossus as well. So this Colossus gonna get that extended thermal lance range, getting warp prisms. Alright, so I have not seen ToD use warp prisms. We'll see what ToD tries to do, as Goody is now currently running off of one base. Oh, poor observer, flying straight into a missile turret there, and now no longer able to reveal what's happening inside this base at all. What I expect to see, and what I hope to see, is that the warp prism will be able to transport some Stalkers into this position here, start dealing damage towards this missile turret, and then having a Colossus and also offer some additional support as well. Blue Flame research now underway by the Protoss player. There's those Stalkers, and now there's that Colossus. This is going to be a lot of damage in just a moment. And now going to elevator this drop simply straight up. The Colossus, I don't know what this Colossus is waiting for. He can just walk around this ledge and get up there. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Colossus. Smart Colossus. So now Stalkers coming in, dealing damage. Oh, able to shoot down that one missile turret there. The missile turret is able to see up on the high ground as long as it is an air unit. So that's one of the reasons why missile turrets on the low ground are in fact able to shoot up and take down that one Colossus. We do have Vikings here, and I wonder, would that's actually something I want to test a little bit. Would a Spine Crawler on the low ground be able to hit a Colossus on the high ground? And that'd be pretty interesting indeed. We have Stalkers just sitting there taking a shelling from those Siege Tanks. Not quite sure why. They should perhaps go into that, jump into that Warp Prism. Siege Tanks now going to make their way over. This Colossus going to be able to, slice down many of those SCVs. This one Colossus, however, with a range of 9, now being pulled away. Got to be careful, though. That one Warp Prism needs to drop that Colossus. Stalkers now may be able to try to come in and, needs to drop all of those Stalkers in just a second. That's going to be a problem. Vikings, and now Warp Prism has been taken down. Goody able to stop that pressure there. So Siege Tanks now down over here. Viking in ground mode. One Viking in ground mode. There is still one Stalker. Does that Marauder see it? Yes, I believe he does. And now that Viking trying to go toe-to-toe against a Stalker. Not going to do very, very well until he gets within combat range of that Siege Tank. But ToD now establishing his third base. And it's going to be a gold mineral patch. Going to be very, very nice for ToD. He's going to have a strong economic lead. As you take a look at the harvester count now, 53 probes for ToD. Goody sitting on 50, and now ToD has about a 200 mineral advantage so far. And I'm not quite sure how ToD, perhaps he just has better saturation and better distribution on his SCVs than Goody does. Goody doesn't have nearly as many SCVs over here, and then multiple SCVs are currently building supply depots. So what, 4 or 5 SCVs currently not mining, giving an even stronger lead. Stalkers and Zealots and Sentries trying to test that front door, unable to do so and test it and take a beating as well, as there are a lot of siege tanks here. Goody, with a very sizable army of siege tanks, will be able to move out and deal a lot of damage. A pylon now being warped in over here, so ToD keeping track and doing a good job of scouting. Goody just sitting inside one base, as now ToD is attempting to establish his third base. So it is going to be 3 bases. That is going to be very difficult, as ToD now also has level 1 weapons upgrade on those Colossus, getting the level 2 weapons upgrade and Zealot charge. I'm not sure. No, Stalker Blink has not yet been researched, as this one probe is just wandering around. Probes now being transferred to the high yield mineral location as well. Will the Colossus be able to make it over and start dealing more and more damage? I wonder if the Colossus are over here, can they shoot back against siege tanks, and the siege tanks, can they shoot back? I'll have to keep track of that. I know air units are revealed, and when you're trying to attack the air unit itself, it can get shot down, but I'm not sure if the ground unit can actually see a Colossus that counts as both a ground and air. Anyways, Colossus over here, Immortals and Stalkers just hanging around back over here as well. We do see a couple of Vikings just wandering around, a lot of Vikings out in the air. So Goody massing up a very decent army of Vikings in order to counter those in order to counter those Colossi. 2 more Vikings, it would make it a good even 8, and 8 Vikings I believe are able to 2-shot a Colossus, if I remember my calculations correctly. So being able to 2-shot a Colossus, very important, as we now see Hellions wandering around. Those Hellions do have that blue flame research, and now going to run straight into here. There are pylons being built, and those Hellions, oh, the Hellions revealing themselves a little bit too early there. What are they doing? They should be going after those probes, and Goody just making a mistake. There are some photon cannons, and able to at least get at least 1 round of kills onto those probes, but that was a complete alert system there. He could have perhaps tried to even put pressure into this location, and now Goody realized how big of a problem he currently is in. He is currently running off of 3 bases compared to 4, and even though he does have mules, he is still significantly behind. Siege tanks with siege tech going to start blasting away at those destructible debris over here, and then should be able to get some damage. Oh no, siege tank's not blasting away. I thought he would try to clear out those rocks in order to establish another expansion. Army wise, 53-25 compared to 45-50. And at some point, ToD, with his 2-1 upgrades, almost 3-1 upgrades, will simply be able to almost attack move with his army. Siege tanks and a Thor now going to start destroying these rocks over here. One Thor just hanging around, not really doing anything at all. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what that Thor is doing. Perhaps he's looking around to see if there's any proxy pylons or anything of that nature. Colossus, Stalkers, Zealots now with Zealot charge, no Stalker blink, Amulet research now underway. I'm not sure if I see Psystorm research. So he went for Amulet research first before that Psystorm research, and now in comes another Hellion. The Hellion going to have a very difficult time trying to take down any Nexuses, as that one Hellion just sitting over there. 2 Stalkers perhaps just making their way over, will be able to finish that off. Army-wise, 61-75 versus 5,300. And things are still looking very, very strong and very nice. ToD has the upgrades. ToD has the army size. ToD has the economy. And he should be able to deal a lot of damage. And oh, Vikings now trying to come in. Stalkers, oh, going to be able to 2-shot two of those Colossi. 1 more Colossus is left, and it has been shot down as well, losing many of his Vikings in the air. But that means that his infantry ground force will be much more powerful. But there isn't that much infantry, to be honest. It is mostly just Hellions and siege tanks. Vikings now just still wandering around the map once again. Production-wise, we are going into the Amulets, or into the Colossi, and now in come those Hellions. Hellions trying to deal some damage, but there was enough Colossi there. Immortals now trying to come in, and now a large group of Hellions looking to deal damage. Those Hellions deal so much damage towards those sentries that those sentries are essentially toast before they even realize what's happening. Gonna walk through there and take so much damage back and forth. Marauders, Colossus, SCVs trying to repair, unable to do so. There are a couple of Immortals here as well, and now those sentries absorbing much of that damage. And now Psystorm, it has been researched, so they will be able to start Psystorming many of these siege tanks if they get within position. The Colossus with a decent range there, and now just slowly marching this army in, and so many Immortals, mass Immortals by ToD finishing up the rest of Goody's army. You could see the sheer number of siege tanks, but there were immortals from over here, High Templar from over here, and those immortals with that hardened shield and the ability to deal 60 damage per attack was simply too much and overwhelmed Goody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay game 2 in what I now know is a best of 3 series between Goody and ToD. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys on Battle.net.